We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football's peek around the corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Make sure you ring that notification bell. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. You know how it works. You know how it works. A super chat, again, a donation to help us keep the channel growing and keep the lights on. We'll get to your super chats as quick as we possibly can. Your phone calls, we'll get to the back half of the show. The back half of the show, we get to your phone calls. When you make a phone call, we talk about whatever you want to talk about. Super chat, same thing. The other comments, well, we pick and choose depending on how relevant, how interesting it is to the show that we're doing today. Welcome on in, everybody. Again, ACC Crumbling. I had a very interesting conversation this Saturday after our live show this Saturday. And we did not come on the air on Sunday. I've been very busy, but I took notes. I rewrote the notes. Look, the ACC, I don't think it's going away. Let me start off by saying that. Let me start out by saying something possibly controversial. I don't think the ACC is going away. I do not think it's completely disappearing. I'm starting to believe, as we go on here in 2026, I'm beginning to see the contours of what is going to happen. Nothing is done. Nothing is settled. Nothing is signed, sealed, and delivered. Nothing is imminent. And here at Peek Around the Corner, we have our own definitions. We have our own lingo among the PATC Einsteins and myself. I don't believe that we are in a hot bubble of action. I don't believe there has been conversations, appointed meetings that we would consider here at Peek Around the Corner. It's not a May 7th, 2023 in Chicago. We're not there yet between Colorado and the Big 12. We are not there yet. However, I think we're getting closer. And that should not be a surprise for anybody who watches this show on a regular basis. I'm going to use a different term because that term was used towards me on Saturday. Not a hot bubble of action. Not that formal, not that person to person, not picking out a spot on the U.S. map, not trying to do it in secret and cloak and dagger, even though Peek Around the Corner snuffed that out, Brett Yormark. We snuffed that out, Colorado president. Not a hot bubble of action, but we're going to call it a line of communication. Okay? There is some lines of communication between said conferences and said schools. And there is a lot of indications. There is a growing amount of indications that nothing really seems to be going the ACC's way. Nothing. And I don't even know. I mean, if we were going to put the pie chart of blame up and gave it slices on who to blame, Phillips, the guy before Phillips, if we put up a few different universities, Notre Dame, how much are there slice the blame for ACC's predicament? I don't even know. I think the biggest slice would be simply the economic forces of consolidation. I think that's going to be the biggest slice of blame. I don't even know how much of this, other than the ACC in Swofford signing that ridiculous media contract, that absolutely ridiculous grant of rights that went all the way to 2036. From 2016 to 2036. Now, that would be the biggest blame. But other than that, nothing is going right for the ACC. Nothing. And again, people go with the strong horse. They do not go with the weak horse. If you're going to cross the river, you're going to get up on that strong horse. You're not going to pick the weak horse. And the river there is choppy waters. It is choppy waters. You're going to go with the strong horse. I here at Peek Around the Corner have spent some time discussing the possibility of top 8, 10, 12 ACC brands using that part of the settlement, to create an 8, 9, 10, 12 team football only conference. Wild Jude and Rock and Rant did a fantastic job. Go check it out. College Football Mafia, College Football Express, Rock and Rant, and Wild Jude did a great job of putting out some possible scenarios of an 8-team ACC new conference, football only conference, that your North Carolina State, your North Carolina, your Virginia Tech, your Louisville, your Florida State and Clemson and North Carolina and Georgia Tech, I believe, an 8-team football only conference. Did a great job on that. And I still think, look, there are factions within the ACC schools that have taken time, that they want that to be the end result of everything that goes on. They want that to be their end result. It would be a lot easier world. It would be a lot easier world for North Carolina Chapel Hill to swing that if it could get them close to the Big Ten and the SEC. I'm starting to believe, even though that has always been a long shot, I'm starting to believe that outcome, that scenario, is probably becoming more of a long shot as the days go on. Just because I do know that there's information embargoed. I do know that not all the doors have been opened to us here at College Football Peek Around the Corner. But I got a feeling when the people that we talk to are using a whole different phrase, line of communications have been open, I think we have gotten into a different phase of this story. We do know that the SEC and the Big Ten have been drawing up. They've been gaming out a whole bunch of different scenarios. We do know that there's been public reports beyond what we've talked about here at Peek Around the Corner, beyond what we have reported, reports of the Big Ten having a huge expansion candidates list, and we believe that's to be true. We do know that the targets of number 1 and number 2 of the SEC, we do know that what their targets are. Can they swing it? Do they need to add on a couple of other schools to make sure that those first 2 targets can be folded into the conference in regards to the media interests, all their football interests? I don't know. Nothing is going the ACC's way, though. The Cold War between Notre Dame and the ACC, we at Peek Around the Corner can confidently report to you that Cold War remains. It has not melted a lick. It's as cold as my predictions against the spread, although that's changing in 2026. That Cold War remains. The SEC threatening to go silo, to break away, if we can't get the SCORE Act passed. That is not in favor of the ACC. Not in favor at all. What the Big 12 was just able to accomplish. Now, I know a lot of you don't think it's much of an accomplishment at all, But the Big 12 even being able to do what they did with Redbird Capital, being able to do what they did with Redford Capital, being able to do what they did to get a strategic partnership with Redbird Capital, who's got a more than a strategic partnership. They've got a slight ownership of Paramount Plus, who owns CBS. That's an accomplishment that the Big 12 did. Is it something that the ACC can even approach? Can they get that done? I don't think so. Now, if they do get it done, it would be shocking news for Peek Around the Corner. We would cover that incredible live story. It would be huge, but I do not believe, and I poked and prodded, I don't think the ACC can get anything like that accomplished because, number one, they're not aligned like the Big 12, and number two, there are lines of communication going on right now between ACC schools and the Big Ten and the SEC. And we do not say that lightly, nor do we say that inaccurately. So, we don't believe there's anything imminent. But we do believe that the ACC, that big old rock, is a crumbling. I will tell you this. Now, there's a big chance, a big chance that I could end up being wrong on what I'm about to say. It's not a report, it's a prediction. But this prediction might become a report, but it's a prediction. This is probably a very irresponsible prediction coming on May 4th of 2026. Not only do I not believe that the ACC top 8, 9, 10 schools are going to be able to pull off, I don't think they're going to eventually do the scenario that we've talked about and others. And again, Wild Ute and Rocket Man had a fantastic discussion on it. Go check it out. Not only do I believe that isn't going to happen, and not only do I not believe there's going to be a Big 12 ACC merger, that's not going to happen. I don't think the ACC is going away. And I believe that the Big 12 according to what I was told, chatted behind the curtain on Saturday, it is a prediction, not a report at this point. I think the Big 12 does go to 20. I think they got their eyes on 20. I don't think the Big 12 is going to go to 18. I think the Big 12 is going to go to 20. But I don't think it's going to be 4 ACC schools. I think it's going to be 2 and then 2 others. I think that's what the Big 12 is going to end up doing. Again, this is a prediction, obviously. There's like a million different variables, different dominoes that have to fall between now and then. But that is a prediction that I'm going to throw out here on May 4th. I do believe, with conversations that I had on Saturday, I think there's some ACC schools, some schools that the Big 12 would want that are probably going to be available, most likely going to be available. I still don't think they're going to swing it and go to the Big 12. And the chatter behind the curtains believes that the Big 12 has this thought process as well. So in other words, this is why I think the chatter behind the curtain believes that there might be this future. This is why the Big 12 has got UConn on speed dial and the USF on speed dial. And again, we are not reporting that UConn or USF is going to the Big 12, but they're in that exploratory, again, of course, UConn has been, but that exploratory stage. When the bleep hits the fan in the ACC, and the Big 12 is not able to get 4 ACC schools like they were able to get 4 Pac-12 schools, I think they're going to round it out, and I think USF and UConn is going to be on speed dial if USF does not backfill in the ACC, which at that point is going to be a very difficult decision. And then you've got Tulane and other schools out there. But to get back to the ACC, I believe it's crumbling. I believe it's crumbling. And you cannot see it right now. The waves of the ocean off the Atlantic coast keeps hitting it over and over and over again. And nothing seems to be going the ACC's way. I even had the discussion on a Saturday. I was trying to find some brightness in the skies over the Atlantic Coast Conference. I had a discussion about Duke's deal with Amazon, saying that maybe the ACC can go and do more of these type of deals, even though Duke is very unique. But maybe this is going to set up a future, maybe in a little bit in the ACC, but a whole lot in the Big Ten and the SEC, where Alabama makes their own deals and Ohio State makes their own deals and Michigan makes their own deals. And this is going to cause some fracture and instability in the P2, and maybe this is not all negative for the ACC. And I was trying to poke and prod to give scenarios, and all that kind of just went flat. The chatter behind the curtain doesn't believe any of that is going to be a real... Again, and I put it on my X account. Old. People believe that bundling up 68 schools' contents, bundling up all the Power 4 conference schools are going to bring a whole bunch of more money to everybody. That is the old way of thinking. Now it's the new way of thinking. People are starting to believe, ooh, if we sell our content individually, we're all going to make more money. Now, it's really neither. The old wasn't correct and the new wasn't correct. Bundling content together gives more money for the schools. It brings more leverage and it brings more security to the media companies that are bidding on your content. Being a standalone, it's very difficult to survive. Notre Dame's been able to survive. The Buckeyes could, possibly Michigan. But the list isn't all that long. No, bundling your content brings in more money for the people who are in that bundle. Now, bundling everybody together, 68 schools, when there's such a large disparity of eyeballs and value among those 68 schools, probably not. But a lot of people are arguing for that. I don't think the Duke's value with the Amazon deal, I think what Duke is getting out of that is the NIL component with Amazon. We're going to see how all that plays out. We have not received all the reporting around that deal. Nobody has. We have not seen the reporting of all the details of the Duke Amazon deal, so I'm going to keep a little bit of that. I don't know what it ultimately is going to look like. But the true value of that deal is going to be the NIL component. And that's the part of the deal that the Buckeyes, Michigan, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama, Florida State, Miami, that's the part of the deal that everyone's going to be looking at. How that NIL component of that deal, how much that helps Duke out. And ESPN and Fox they might have to scramble and figure something out. Anyways, welcome on in, everybody. We've got a big old show today. In our spotlight is none other than the Oklahoma State Cowboys. The Oklahoma State Cowboys is under the PATC spotlight. Holy smokes. Again, they're about our 18th or 19th team that we've done under the spotlight so far early in this off season. We've got a lot of people to get through here. We got 151 people. 151 people. Don Scruggs is in the house. Kay Struthers, Skaven, yes, Rich Austin, Grateful Trojan, Jay Go Blue, is in the house. Joaquin Morales, Bimba 7579, Doug Steinhauser, Go Buckeyes, Zero Wiz, Preston from Greensboro, Grateful Trojan, Florida Man, Osceola the Trucker. Thanks for coming on in, Mr. Seminole. Stephen Clark, Jay Ben the Architect, CFB Plus. Amy's in the house. KS Beer Fan, Chef Mall, John Dry, MBM. We're doing your Oklahoma State Cowboys today. Adam Vulture, Cal Bears, Phil Sorensen. Adam is in the house. The Almighty, check it out, is here. A lot of people have come on in. Appreciate it. Kenneth Maynor is in the house. Jose is here. Bob Swanger is here. USF will backfill in the ACC. It could. But according to what we've been told, the Big 12 has also got their eyes on USF. And it goes beyond the Weatherford Capital situation. Weatherford Capital is now invested somewhat in the Big 12. And the man who built that Weatherford Capital is the chairman of the board of the University of South Florida. But it goes beyond that. Just say it. But that is like, there's a million dominoes that have to fall before we get to that part of the program, of whatever happens. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people believe that. It could be right, MBM. Absolutely could be right. We got Karan Shakar is in the house. I do not think they're going to end up like the Pac-12. But we shall see. Who else is here? Jade Price, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. He's got no empathy for the ACC and what they did to Big East football. Morris Simmons, thanks for coming on in. Morris Simmons, appreciate it. David Kreitzer, appreciate it. Nick Kelso, Arkansas Razorback. Rod Nix is in the house. Morris Simmons, L. Woody, Old Army is here. I just want to say thank you for everybody who joined us today. Taylor on the Tube is here. UConn is definitely on the Big 12 speed dial. Doesn't mean they're going to get an invite, but they're definitely on the Big 12 speed dial. Absolutely. Daniel Gorby is here. Secret Agent is here. Who else is here? Jose. Who were the Magnificent Seven? Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, Miami, Clemson, Florida State. Is that it? Did I get them all? Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Virginia, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, North Carolina State. Who else is here? Who else is here? I got the Keith Moore. Ooh, the Alabama Crimson Tiger. Scott Grable's in the house. Thanks for coming on in, Scott. Appreciate it. Yogi Buck is here. Yogi Buck. Hey Rabbit is in the house. Hell State looking for September. And we're looking for you, man. We're looking for Hell State. Golden Gophers, Hell State, Skyuma, September 12th, the battle. We're going to be doing a watch party on that game. I think. Maybe I'm going to be too scared to do one, but I'm going to try to do one. Okay. Welcome on, everybody. Appreciate it. A Big 12 YouTuber said that the Big Cuz Yormark twins are leading the way for Miami now. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Frank Pata is in the house. Thanks for coming on in. Mama Duck, Clemson Tigers. Thank you. And before I'm getting a lot of notes already. I'm getting a lot of notes from the PATC side. Before we get into football and Oklahoma State Cowboys and the Big 12 playing the short game. First they played the short game against the Pac-12, and now they're playing the long game against the ACC. And then before we get back into the main topic of discussion, the ACC is crumbling. Nothing is truly going their way. Now, it may not be obvious, but all the waves, they're all hitting the ACC rock. Right there on the Atlantic coast. Nothing is going to ACC. Nothing is. And I'm telling you, and nobody is gonna. The ACC's got a Notre Dame problem. I know, Greg. I know. You're all looking at your telephone. You're all looking at your iPhone. You're all looking at the TV. You're yelling at me right now because I'm bringing up Notre Dame again. The ACC's got a Notre Dame issue. I think the only thing that is going the ACC's way is the North Carolina Board of Governors and the continuous delay of the SCORE Act. Is it going to live? Is it going to die? That's it. Everything else, like everything, is going against the ACC. Everything. And do not minimize what the Big 12 just got done. Don't minimize that strategic partnership. Let me ask you a question. Before you all go minimize that, let me ask you a question. Who is ACC's strategic partner? Somebody let me know. And again, I'm not... The ACC, I love the conference. Watched it my whole life. The institutions of the ACC, from Boston College to Miami, I love it. I love it all. But who is the strategic partner of the ACC? The CW. Everyone in the media is minimizing it. Well, okay, the Big 12 knocking out the Pac-12 was shocking, except for our community, right? because we gave you the hot bubble of action. We, on May 8th of 2023, after we knew that meeting happened, and we couldn't tell you about the meeting, but on May 8th, the day after the May 7th, we told you that the Pac-12 was hanging by a thread and it took a shot to the solar plexus. I still could not tell you about that meeting until Pete Thamel said it in the open, in public, later that month. I can't quite call it a hot bubble of action right now, but there's lines of communications. Those lines are flowing communication, and that is going to result in something. And we're going to try to give you that peek around the corner right before it happens. But the ACC is crumbling. We've got a super chat here. We've got ourselves our first super chat. My goodness, it's a shot at yours truly. It's a shot at yours truly. Greg is so cold that even the Huskies are begging for sweaters. You know who's going to be, you know what Huskies is going to be begging? Do you know what Huskies are going to be begging here? It's going to be the Washington Huskies. It's going to be the Washington Huskies. First Big Ten game of the season. My beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers go up to Washington and we play those evil Huskies. They're going to be begging. They're going to be begging on that weekend. They're going to be begging, baby. That's the only Huskies that I see begging, mowing. Thank you so much for the $5 holler. I very much appreciate it. Again, the I do declare, the last one was Indiana wins the Natty expansion crush evaluation of 3 points. We're taking in the I do declare predictions, comes in a super chat. At the end of the year, a donation will go out to the Special Olympics of Minnesota. I give you a valuation of between 1 to 5. 1 being not all that likely, 5 being truly not all that likely. No chalk picks are, you can't make a chalk pick here. It's got to have some level of boldness. And the person that has the best score out of all their I do declares is declared the college football I do declare world champion, and we'll be sending you out a trophy with your name on it from societyawards.com, and that's all going to happen after the end of the college football national championship. We've got 41 predictions are booked in, with the last one expansion crush. Indiana wins the Natty. Now, let's get to the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Let's get to the Oklahoma State Cowboys. True master maker. Boop, boo, boop, boo. Holy smokes. 4,379 passing yards for North Texas. 34 touchdowns. 9 interceptions. Almost a 70% completion percent. This guy went to North Texas. What was he? A 5th stringer? A 4th stringer? To begin the year last year? Eric Morris, the head coach, goes from North Texas, replaces Mike Gundy. He's the new head coach in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and he brings in his quarterback, Drew Messmaker. Holy smokes. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. I'm worried. I'm worried that my prediction on the Cowboys was not favorable enough. Now, when I made this prediction about, 6-8 weeks ago, a lot of you PATC Einsteins think, my goodness, you love the Oklahoma State Cowboys too much, Greg. You know what? I don't think I love them enough. I think I'm coward of the county for having the Cowboys come in 5th place in the Big 12. Especially now with Brendan Sorsby's situation, which I'm going to get to here in a little bit. I've got something to say about the Brendan Sorsby situation. Anyways, Drew Mestmaker coming from North Texas. He looked great in the spring football game. Greg, you're overreacting. Greg, you can't take anything out of a spring football game. Pfft, come on. You see the flick of the wrist? You see that bomb that Drew Mestmaker threw? Flick of the wrist? Caleb Hawkins, running back from North Texas, coming on over to Oklahoma State. 1,400 yards rushing, 6.2 average per rush, 25 rushing touchdowns last year. These are not career stats. This is 2025 stats. Caleb Hawkins, 370 yards receiving, 4 receiving touchdowns. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, Stillwater, it's the place to be. It's the place to be in 2026. And then you got Wyatt Young, again from North Texas. 7 receptions, 1,264 yards receiving, 18.1 average per reception, 10 receiving touchdowns. This guy catches the ball. He stretches the field. Wyatt Young, Caleb Hawkins, Drew Mestmaker. What a trio. What a trio coming from North Texas. But that's not all. That's not all. Miles Coleman. I mean, you're sitting there. You've got Hawkins. You've got Young. But Drew Mestmaker, he finds Miles Coleman. And Eric Morris says, I got to have Coleman. Mestmaker, I got to have. Hawkins, I got to have. Wyatt Young, I got to have. But I also have to have this young man, Miles Coleman. 47 receptions, 516 yards, 11.7 average per rush, 2 receiving touchdowns, moving the first down chains. Miles Coleman, Wyatt Young, Caleb Hawkins. What about defense? Well, defense, well, that's going to be an issue this year, right? Going to be an issue for first-year head coach Eric Morris, but he does bring back this freshman, Lindanian Fields, who had a really good season as a freshman cornerback. 2 interceptions, a tackler, big things ahead. They were able to keep him. He believes. Let's take a look at the Cowboys' schedule. Again, the Oregon game at home is going to give us a real good look at the Cowboys. Last year, not so much. This year, That's going to be we're going to have a lot of fun talking about that game. September 12th. First Big 12 game at West Virginia, Morgantown, September 26th. Again, another good measuring stick for the Cowboys early in the season. At home against USF. Then on the road to Houston. At home against Colorado, at Iowa State, at Kansas State. And then they've got that Texas Tech game again at home. At Arizona State, at home against Kansas. So if you look at that schedule, Oregon and Texas Tech are at home. They got those games at home. Can they pull off an upset at home against the Ducks, non-conference game, and the Red Raiders, a big Big 12 game? Again, I've got the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I am a believer. I'm a believer. Look, I think if you're not a believer, go check out the tape on Caleb Hawkins running the football. Go check that out first. And then go check out Drew Messmaker, the quarterback, but not against the competition that he threw against. Just there are tapes out there where he's working out. He goes through this routine. Look, I'm telling you, the guy's got skills. He's got footwork. He is a well-oiled machine, this Drew Messmaker. Go watch the workout tapes and then come back here and tell me he's not ready for Big 12 football. I've got the Cowboys 5th in the Big 12 this year. 5th. Now, Houston, they've got a more provable defense. That defense was pretty good last year. And again, we've been through the Houston Cougars offense. They've got guys coming back. They've got Amari Thomas. They've got Connor Wegman. The Houston Cougars offense is stacked. So I couldn't put them ahead of Houston. I couldn't put them ahead of Utah. I couldn't put ahead of BYU. I couldn't put... Well, the Red Raiders without Brendan Sorsby? I don't know. The Red Raiders are still stacked. And it sounds like Will Howard, the backup quarterback, it looks like he's getting healthy and he is ahead of schedule. Let's talk about Brendan Sorsby for a moment before we conclude with our Cowboys. That famous lawyer, Kessler, is going to be representing them as they're going to try to see if they can get Brendan Sorsby back into college football for 2026. I think in 30 days, they're going to try to get an injunction if the ruling goes against them. And look, all these players should get representation. And he got a really good lawyer for it to be his representative. All that is fine and good. I'm just hoping that somebody's looking out for Brendan Sorsby's health. I think that should be the goal here. 10,000 bets since 2022. 10,000. As a football player who knew the rules. When you are a football player, when you sign on the dotted line, when you go to those meetings, this was at Bloomington, Indiana. You get told that you can't bet on your sport. You just can't do it. You can't do it, or you take away your eligibility. Brendan Sorsby came out with a statement saying that he's going to get help, that he has a gambling addiction. It's a mental health issue. That should be the number one goal. I want to see Brendan Sorsby play football again. I want to see him go after his dreams again, but only after he gets the help. Come on. It's only been 8 or 9 days since he offered up this, where he's got to get some help. And now, come on. He should not be playing football in 2026. This should not be taken lightly. He needs to get help. It's sort of like when I talked about Drake Lindsay, the Gopher quarterback, where 95% of the Gopher fans says it's no big deal. It's not the underage drinking. It's the bad decision making of making sure he got a fake ID and he had it in his pocket. He should get a half-game suspension in his first game. It's not the end of the world. It's going to be he's probably going to overcome it. But again, it's something you got to take accountable to it. It's not just the gambling. It's the gambling in your sport. It's the gambling on your team. It's 10,000. Come on. The only way to get better is to take accountability. Don't even think about playing in 2026. And the people around him should not be pushing him to play 2026. 1 year of football doesn't equal the rest of your life. Those are my comments on it. Let me know how wrong I got it once again in the comments section. Karan Shakar, I don't mind you taking shots at me, okay? But I have noticed, we do notice here at Peek Around the Corner, that pretty much every one of your comments is a troll job on me. Almost every one of your comments. So you are hanging by a thread. I'm talking about something very serious here about Brendan Sorsby. And this is not a one-timer. You basically do this in every one of your comments during the shows. I do notice. I do let them go. But it's getting kind of, you're getting to that point. I'm just giving you out a warning here. I'm just giving you out a warning. All right. Okay. Now. Oklahoma State Cowboys, 5th in the Big 12. Let me know if that is an outrageous prediction. Let me know. Let me know. Earlier today, we talked about the article from Heartland College Sports. Follow the money. Big Ten's massive payout explains the Big 12 strategy. Now, I talked about this in episode, I guess it was 494. And you can go check it out. I'm not going to go through the whole thing during the live show here. I just wanted to show this. So if you did miss episode 494, to go check it out. Pretty good article. Pretty good article. In the back of the article, it talks about strategically, this also gives the Big 12 more access to a potential long-term television partners in CBS and TNT. Redbird holds some assets from Paramount Global as part of its $15 billion portfolio. Paramount owns CBS and it's attempting to purchase TNT, developments that could benefit the Big 12 in its next television negotiations past the end of the current deal in 2030, 2031. So, people are minimizing this deal, and I would suggest not to minimize it. As we have reported for over 2 years, that private equity was going to come into the college football space, that the most important component of this, from Brett Yormark's perspective, is not the credit line that the schools are able to get access to. It's the strategic partnership to help with the next media rounds negotiations. And I said during our episode earlier today, the Big 12 short game turns to the Big 12's long game. The Big 12 played the short game. It's the only game they had versus the Pac-12. They moved up their exclusive negotiating window with ESPN and Fox. They moved it right up with the Pac-12 because the Big 12 wasn't supposed to get in those negotiations for months and months and months. It wasn't supposed to happen in 2023, but it did. Brett Yormark went on the short-term volley against the Pac-12, and the Big 12 won. Brett Yormark won. On October 30, 2022, the Big 12 was able to sign that deal with ESPN and Fox, basically shoving the Pac-12 out of the prime time exposure slots for football. It shoved the Pac-12 out of the way, and it broke up the conference. It helped break up the conference. Brett Yormark is not playing the short game. Not this time. He's playing the long game. He's playing for that next round of media negotiations. He is setting up a strategic partnership. He's setting up, he's trying to get an ace up in his sleeve. He wants something else to talk about when he talks with ESPN and Fox. A strategic partner. And again, I ask the question, who is ACC's strategic partner? I'm not trying to make a dig I love the ACC. This is not anti-ACC channel. Again, this is college football's peak around the corner. Who is ACC's strategic partner? Is it ESPN? Really? Is it ESPN? Is it ESPN that will not move off the 2036 date? You saying it's ESPN, the current media company, the current media partner of the ACC, that will not entertain early media negotiations with ACC? ESPN that is against the college football playoff expansion of 24 teams. I mean, ESPN is ACC's media partner. ESPN did create the ACC network. But after that creation of that network, they haven't really been a strategic partner. So I don't think you should minimize what the Big 12 was able to accomplish. I do know that on October 30th, 2022, I said on this live show, you go back and watch it, I said that Brett Yormark hit a grand slam and the Pac-12 is in trouble. I got a lot of grief over that, not from you all, but from a lot of YouTube channels out there and the Wizards on X. But it turned out to be accurate. And I'm telling you tonight, the ACC everything is going against the ACC. And again, this is another indication of that. The Big 12 was able to strike this type of deal. The ACC cannot. They may be able to strike up, but they're in the lines of communication is flowing. Let me get to that. Let me get back to the main topic of discussion. And then we'll get to your phone calls. I'm going to... First, I did drop episode, what was it? Episode 64, 65, I believe. I believe it was 65. Early peak Cloak and Dagger episodes for members only early this morning. Okay? I dropped an episode early this morning. And it looks like we got a lot of views from the members. And if you want to become a member, go to the link in the description box below the video, hit the link and become a member. I'm going to talk about that information right now because it does involve the main topic of our live show tonight. What we discussed in our early peak Cloak and Dagger episode 65 of this morning is the Big Ten and the SEC chatted behind the curtain is that they're going to be having talks. And it was described to me as not formal talks, not informal talks, but somewhere in between. But the talks will certainly become more serious. But these talks are going to happen between the Big Ten and the SEC before the late May Memorial Destin, Florida, May meetings of the SEC. The talks between the Big Ten and the SEC are going to happen before that. And these talks are going to be centered around the college football playoff format in the future. The college football playoff format has to be figured out before it is one of the planes that has to land or crash before we get on to the next wave of disruption, the next wave of realignment, the next wave of consolidation, or the next wave of fracture, if it happens in the ACC. The SCORE Act has to either land or crash, and the college football playoff format has to land or crash. The silo, the breakaway has to land or crash. All these are connected. These discussions are going to center around the college football playoff format. In the SEC, their messaging to the Big Ten is the following. While we are committed to the 16-team playoff, we are open to the 24-team playoffs, but we need minimum guarantees. We cannot be left out. We cannot be left out on a limb. The SEC went from 8 conference games to 9 conference games, many in the conference believing that the college football playoffs would go from 12 teams to 16 teams. That did not happen. But yet the conference went from 8 conference games to 9. The SEC is not going to be caught again like that. They want minimum guarantees. They got to know that these other media partners that potentially want to get in and bid on the college football playoff content. Remember, if we go from 12 teams to 24 teams, we're going from 11 playoff games to 23. That is 12 extra games, but ESPN, per the contract, gets 2 of them. So per the current contract, it would be 10 extra playoff games. The SEC needs to know if the other media companies are willing to meet a minimum bid before these games go out on the open bid. The SEC is not going to say, okay, let's do a 24-team playoff and not know if the money is going to follow. Because that money's got to make up for losing the Southeastern Conference Championship game. It's got to make up for a lot of things. They want to see the money. Show me the money, the SEC is saying. So while there cannot be an official open bid, there's got to be some process to say these are the benchmarks for us to agree to a 24-team playoff, 23 total playoff games. That's number one. Number two, as we have reported to you now over a month ago here at College Football Peek Around the Corner, we reported to you all, and this is dead nails, there are some people in the Southeastern Conference, this is going to get brought up in the May meetings, that want to bring back the conversation, to socialize it, bring back the thought of AQs per conference, to protect the Southeastern Conference. They went from 8 conference games to 9 conference games, and they want to make sure they get more AQs than the last format that was presented by Tony Petitti and the Big Ten athletic directors. So, if you go to AQs, the SEC is going to want more than 4. And if you go to 24 teams, the money's got to be there. If the money is there, and if we go to AQs, and the Southeastern Conference has to be made whole if they acquiesce to a 24-team playoffs. And of course, the Southeastern Conference is going to have to figure out, if they do break away, what does that breakaway look like? So, those talks, there is going to be a setup time between the Big Ten and the SEC to talk about this. Is there a process that they could create to see if anybody would meet those minimum benchmarks on those bids? And the Southeastern Conference wants to make sure that they have these talks before the late May meetings, Southeastern Conference meetings. Because the Southeastern Conference knows, as we discussed in our early peak Cloak and Dagger episode earlier this morning, the Southeastern Conference knows that there is support for a 2014 playoff within their conference. There's a handful of coaches, there's a handful of athletic directors, and they know that they're going to talk about it in the open, they're going to talk to the press. So the SEC doesn't want to lose their leverage. So this month is a little bit more crucial than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for when it comes to the college football playoffs. This month, the SEC wants to lay down some benchmarks with the Big Ten to see if the college football playoff of 24 is actually doable for the pocketbooks of the SEC and to make sure the conference is protected. So, there is your information that we gave out hours earlier in our early peak Cloak and Dagger episode 65. Any information that we put out on those members only episodes, eventually we talk about later in our live show. Usually it's not the same day, it's the next day. But anyways, the members only get that early peak Cloak and Dagger. Now, I want to talk about this. Lines of communication. Lines of communication. We're going to try to push the envelope as far as we can right now on what does that mean. Lines of, not the hot bubble of action yet, but lines of communication between ACC schools in the Big Ten and the SEC. We're talking first party talks, but I do not believe, because I poked and prodded on this, I do not believe we're at the formal meeting stage, and I don't think we're going to get there until these other planes land or crash, but those events get over with. Got to know what the college football playoffs are going to look like. Got to know if we're going in our silos and what that would look like. Got to know if the SCORE Act passes. Lines of communication. Let's start with the easy one, or possibly the most controversial one, but it is the easiest one. Yes, Notre Dame talks with the Big Ten all the time. They talk with the SEC all the time. Notre Dame, it's easy. It's always been easy for them to talk because they do not have worries. They're not a full conference member of the ACC. But it doesn't matter right now. Notre Dame is talking with the Big Ten. Again, not a hot bubble of action. Nothing that I'm really, nothing is imminent. But Notre Dame, line of communication, the Big Ten, there is no cold shoulder. There is no don't call us, don't talk to us. There is a lot of this. If this happened, what would the future look like? If this happened, what would the future look like? What can we do for you? Back and forth. That's the easy one. The next one you got to talk about is North Carolina. Now, this is the most difficult one to talk about because in general, I'm not isolating this to North Carolina, Chapel Hill. In general, there are NDAs flying around. I have not put my name on any NDA. I have agreed to some being careful of information, of course. But, and I'm not going to name the name. But we do know that North Carolina, UNC North Carolina, they have the Board of Governors situation. And I don't know, I'm not going to talk about the Board of Governors, but there is a certain position at North Carolina and a certain person at North Carolina who has been active in communication. So we do know that North Carolina has been talking, but again, I'm not going to put this in the hot bubble of action realm yet. Because it's missing a few items to be able to do that. But North Carolina is active in discussions. That shouldn't come as a surprise, but all I can say is we know, and we'll talk about this as early as possible, but we know how it's happening. I'll give you an example here of why that's important. I'll give you a couple of examples of why that's important from my perspective. I've been doing this a long time, and we've had the very fortunate to build relationships with a lot of different people. And we knew how the USC Big Ten, we knew how that was communicated. So when I started reporting on that out in the open, I had a whole bunch of people say that's crazy, no. But then you also get this whole bunch of information flowing to me that says, yes, Greg, I know this is happening because A, B, C, D. Greg, I saw this person and that person at City. They were having dinner at this golf club and blah, 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 blah. And I knew how to filter out the information that I knew was wrong, the information that I could never possibly confirm, and the information that I did not know, and then the information that came to me that had a ring of truth to it because it matched the way that we were getting this information, the USC story. So that is another so there are reasons why I have to hold some stuff back. Okay? It's just how this works. How I know how to continue to investigate a story. We know how the communication is working. We know who is communicating from the Chapel Hill point of view. And it is more, and the communication is to more than one conference. And I'm not going to say how many conferences, just more than one conference. So we got our eye on something here, and it may help us, lead us to be able to give you that peak, that hot bubble of action. If there is a meeting, if there is something substantial in where terms are being negotiated. See, we're not there yet. At least we don't think we're there yet. If we are there, then we got it wrong here at Peek Around the Corner. But we don't think it's that imminent. So we do know of a certain stuff at North Carolina. We do know that Notre Dame has their line of communication open with the Big Ten. That is for sure. The other one that we can talk about tonight, and again, I want to thank Moen After Dark for his $5 holler. I appreciate that. I want to thank everybody for joining us. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell. Smash the like button if you like our content. I appreciate it. The other one that we can talk about is Miami. This one is even more difficult to talk about. I'm going to have to be very general here. Miami definitely has a point person. It's a different God dang it, how do I say this? It's a different flavor. I don't know how to say this. It's a different flavor than what North Carolina, the point person at North Carolina. It's a different structure. It's a different structure at Miami. It's going to be very interesting to see who the new athletic director is at Miami. Obviously, it's going to be a person, a business, right? It's going to be somebody of that flavor. But I did say a few days ago, I said on the live show, this was before Saturday, I said something to the effect of, usually athletic director positions, they don't really tell us that much about if there's going to, if it involves the next, like a realignment. It doesn't really tell us much. The presidential appointments are way more important when it comes to that realm. But I was wrong. I do think now, after a door being open to us on a long Saturday, that the naming of the Miami athletic director, I think it is going to be important. I think it very well could give us a major indication of where that is heading. And I got to tell you, I do not believe Miami's future is in the Big 12. I would not shut the door at Miami and SEC, but I really do not believe Miami to the Big 12 is in the cards. So, again, I think we are beginning to Miami has been, and a lot of this is late information. Like, we haven't known a lot of this, but Miami has been pretty aggressive. Pretty aggressive. And Duke has been really aggressive, as you all know. That was the first one that we pushed the envelope on. We know that Duke has been really aggressive. But now we believe Miami is really aggressive. The line of communication about Virginia, we don't have anything on that. The lines of communication on Virginia Tech, we don't have any information on that. The Georgia Tech thing is, we don't have any information on that, and I think it's because possibly it's not happening right now. I don't know about that, but the line of communication of Utah, we do know. As we have reported, Utah did communicate with the Big Ten before they did that, their own, whatever you want to call it, deal. We do know that Utah has talked to the Big Ten. We do know that Utah knows that they are on the Big Ten candidate list. And there is, and I'll just throw out another one here. There is, seems like a continuous, for the last 20 years, kind of like the Rutgers Big Ten communication that went on forever. There does seem to be a Pittsburgh is trying to figure out where they're being a little, they're communicating as well to the Big Ten. So that is what we know. The North Carolina thing, we know more than what we can talk about. The Miami situation, we know more than what we can talk about. The Miami one that was a Saturday conversation. But they are more aggressive than what we have been told by many, many people that the interest that the Big Ten has in Miami, from Michigan, from Ohio State, there is interest. There has been interest in Miami for the last few years. We have been pretty open on that. And it does seem like Miami believes that to be true, of course. And I think they're being pretty aggressive here. I am starting to wonder, and I'm kind of, because I asked this question on Saturday, I'm starting to wonder if there is even a greater movement that has not been reported at Miami when it comes to facilities. And I'm not even talking a new stadium. There does seem to be some push to do some big things at Miami when it comes to facilities. I don't know if that includes an on-campus stadium, but put that aside, that huge subject aside right now. I think there's a push for other things at the University of Miami. Now, we did get a phone call from, I think it was Canes 1993 here a couple of days ago. It might have been that Saturday. It might have been that Friday. It might have been that Thursday. Talking about how the campus is small, but Miami's looking at doing certain things, a new sponsored sport, some new facilities. That Saturday conversation, part of that conversation had to do with Miami, and some of it I can't talk about. But Miami might be pushing, let me say this. I think Miami is pushing, they just became AAU. They have the type of research that the Big Ten presidents want. But it sounds like the University of Miami is pushing to be looking like more like a Big Ten institution. There might be a couple of buildings going up. One of them might be research and might be a few facility changes at the university. Anyways, so there's stuff going on in Miami. There's always been stuff going on at Duke. And North Carolina is a big one here. We know who the point person is. We're going to be keeping an eye on that. I cannot say it in public. I'm not going to say it on X. And I can't say it on this program. Not only not to protect certain people, but to protect my ability to get more information on this matter. So, that is why, because of that discussion on Saturday, I could not come on live yesterday. We had to talk about it on Monday. The ACC, nothing seems to be going its way. The more doors are open to us, the more that I learn. This, again, I'm not taking shots at the ACC, their institutions. Love the conference, love the schools, love the fans. But if you remember back before the Big 12 officially poached the Pac-12, remember when I came on here every live show and I said, man, it doesn't look good. It looks terrible for the Pac-12. All the chatter is they're not getting in. They're not even getting assembled bids towards them from other media partners. And then other reporters like John Casano and John Wilden and other people would say, oh, it looks like it's going to be $35 million a year. It looks like there might be a deal in the next 6 days, 12 days. And then I kept going back and poking and prodding, and the chatter that I was hearing was, it's bad, it couldn't be any worse, Truly, ESPN did pull out of the talks. That wasn't just a rumor that Dennis Dodd put out there. No, Dennis Dodd was absolutely correct. I got it from people, and I kept saying it over and over and over again, and I got dragged over the coals by that chart guy and the Wizards from X. This is starting to be like that. There is a certain drumbeat of Notre Dame is cold with the ACC. Lines of communications are now opening up between some ACC top-ranked schools and other conferences. The Big 12 is looking at the future of a couple of poaches of the ACC. If they can't get more than a couple of poaches, they've got other options that they've been working on. The ESPN is not willing to renegotiate. There was a settlement. The Big 12, what they were able to accomplish, people should not minimize it. So again, that's why I decided to present that information for you guys today. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the month of May. We've got the Nebraska 18. That decision should be known this week. I really don't think they're expecting another delay. I think they already they had an 8-hour meeting, and I think both sides were able to throw in an extra, amendments, a couple of more arguments to the discussion, and I think we're going to be facing that decision sometime this week. So that when we get that decision, be it for the CSC or for Nebraska 18, that's going to put a whole nother flavor onto what we're talking about today. All right. Let's get to your phone calls. Again, thank you for everybody for joining us. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Mo and After Dark, for your super chat. Appreciate it. The phone lines are now open. 763-260-1330. 763 260 1333.
From
Rick?
Rick, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for taking the call. Yeah, May is a big month.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something, and I don't want you to get insulted because it's not an insult.
Yes.
And I think you'll understand once I'm done saying it. But I think what's happening is a hot bubble of action actually is occurring. But
You could be right. You could be right.
Because of these NDAs, the non-disclosure agreements, which are terribly powerful legal documents that can cost anyone who breaks them, anyone who signs them and breaks them, can cost them a lot of money in a court, because that's where they're resolved, in a court. That's why you're not able to get as much inside information, perhaps, as you have in the past. What do you think of that?
I think, now this is from my own perspective. I think, I don't think we're there at the place in the story that I could get more information. I mean, I could get more information, but not information, like, I don't think we're there yet. You know what I'm saying? I really don't think we're there yet. So that would be my answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
great minds can differ.
Yep.
And certainly this month is a big month, and it may not occur until next month because of all the things that are going to be resolved this month. The Nebraska deal is going to be resolved this month.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that I can't even remember the name of it now. The thing they're trying to get passed in Congress has already been resolved. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't.
It's zero. I put it down to zero.
Yeah.
All of the things regarding the Big Ten and the SEC are going to get resolved this month between the meetings with Sankey and Petiti prior to the Memorial Day meeting of the SEC. And that's all this month.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Have you ever seen the movie The Godfather 2? The second one?
Yes.
I'm hoping Sankey takes the position of and lets Sankey know that you don't have to wait until the weekend's over for my decision, Greg. I'll give it to you now. The answer is no. And oh, by the way, I wouldn't mind if you paid the fees for the Big Ten next year.
Wow.
I don't care if they go into a silo. I don't think they have the guts to, personally.
Wow.
I think they're bluffing.
Hey, Rick, I've never asked you this question before. Are you a fan of a certain school? And if you are you willing to say it, or?
Pro football fan.
You're a pro football fan. Got it. And can I ask you what pro football team? You don't have to answer.
Well, there really isn't one anymore. For decades, it had been the Rams.
Okay. All right.
But when the Rams moved to St. Louis,
yeah,
they left me behind.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right, just wondering. Yep.
Yeah, no. I love college football, but no, any allegiance is NFL.
Yep.
but no, I don't think the SEC is good. They've never been able to look at themselves the way they're currently looking at themselves in a mirror
Yeah.
and seeing and having it look back at them.
Yeah.
They're in second place. And now they know they are. The reality of being in second has set in. And I don't think they have the bargaining power. I don't think they can pull off a silo.
Wow.
Financially. They'll exist. They'll survive, but they won't thrive. And that's
Yep.
what they've been doing for decades. For decades, they've been thriving. Not so much anymore. And I really think that a big part of this meeting that Sankey wants is to try and get more insider information from Petiti on the chopping up of the ACC.
Ooh, I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't think they're talking with each other. I don't think that's going to be coordinated. I think that's going to be cutthroat.
I think that conversation's going. I think he's going to try to elicit from Petiti some insider information on North Carolina, the status thereof, how hard is the Big Ten pursuing North Carolina.
Yeah. I'm gonna say both of them are pursuing North Carolina.
Oh, they definitely are.
Yeah.
But Sankey doesn't know what North Carolina's telling Petiti.
Nope. You are correct.
And I think he'd like to know.
Yes.
So I think he's going to try and do his best to get any type. And I think that's probably the primary reason for wanting to get together and have a chit chat before they go back to the Memorial Day meeting in Florida. He goes back to it.
Yeah.
Because if Petiti does as you say every other day and stands his ground on the 24, he can't be stopped. He's going to get it. What's going to happen is he won't get it this year. And then the SEC will go through a full year of playing 9 games into a 12-game playoff and get 3 out of the 4 teams that they thought they were going to get in. And when they only get 3 teams into the 12-team playoff this year, you're going to see heads explode in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be screaming for a 2014 playoff, no matter what.
With
no
AQs
conditions,
possibly.
nothing.
Yep.
And that's if they're not already in the silo, which I don't think they're going into.
Mm-hmm.
Because it will cost them money to go into the silo. They'll get to do everything that they want to do. They'll get the control that they want. That's a beautiful thing, to have total control over all of the teams and all of the circumstances surrounding it. All of the money, all of the, if you do your own playoffs, all of your own playoff money. It's wonderful. But that will not compare to the money that could be made if there's a compromise. Now, that's my call. Thanks.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Great call, Rick. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks for the call, Rick. You know, we've got super.
From
CFB Plus.
CP Plus. Can you hold on for just one moment, please?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. You know, we've got super chats. We've got this I do declare competition. You put a super chat in, you make a prediction. Today, I was looking at my, right before I came on live, I rarely look at YouTube. I should look at them, but I don't. I'm so busy. Emails from YouTube creators. And they're doing this a gift thing. Gift. You can give a gift. I don't even know what that means, but so I hit the button that was open to this new thing that YouTube's doing. And so about 10-15 minutes ago, Go Black 45 sent me a GOAT trophy, and it says 1,000 jewels. And I could highlight it, but now I can't highlight it anymore. It's still up on my screen. Here, I'll show you guys. I'll quickly show you here. It's right here. Go Black 45 sent GOAT trophy for 1,000 jewels. So I guess I should have left it up on the screen. First of all, I want to thank Go Black 45 for his generous donation. I don't know what that 1,000 jewels mean. I don't know if I can trade it in for I have no idea what that is. But if anybody, again, I think this just started on YouTube. But thank you, Go Black 45. I appreciate it. I appreciate your kindness. And I would put it up on the screen. And I did have it up on the screen. And then I moved it. Maybe it is for a cheeseburger. But again, I thank you, Go Black 45. I appreciate it. If somebody can explain to me, if they go into it, what does it look like? We do have a super chat. Before we get to CFB Plus phone call, we've got a very generous super chat, $2 holla from Purple and Gold, Christopher Huda. From Christopher Huda. Rick, the SEC can absolutely pull off a silo easy. Christopher Hooter, I don't know if it would be easy. I do think they can pull it off. I think they've got it gamed out. And I don't know what the future holds. But it is going to be a fascinating story to watch and cover right here in the PATC studios. CFB Plus, the floor is yours. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No problem. I just have a quick question. Well, I just would want you to, would ask for you to elaborate on the ACC schools presumably turning down a bid to join the Big 12, since you said that the Big 12 is looking to go to 20, and there's going to be some schools that maybe and probably will be available, but will decide to stay in the ACC. So I just basically elaborating on that, because why would they turn that down, especially if a lot of ACC schools are leaving for the Big Ten, the SEC, and then furthermore a few more schools to the Big 12, since ESPN can renegotiate the contract if 3 schools leave, if I'm not mistaken. And then the final part of the question is, if I think the presumable blend at the moment would be UConn, UCF, then who are those 2 ACC schools? Louisville is probably my number one ACC school. Who would do this? I don't know. But
Well, yeah.
NC State.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was a prediction, not a report, and there's a whole lot of dominoes and variables from here to there. But I just wanted to throw that out because I think first of all, and again, I could be completely wrong, but I'm thinking there's going to be big scoops, right, from the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yes.
So after that, again, I'm not sure who else the Big 12 would be interested in. I think they'd be interested in a couple. Maybe all of their additions would come from the ACC. But I'm going to bet against that. Right now, it's just a prediction. And I'm allowed to change my prediction. It's definitely not a report. But I bet all their additions are not from the ACC. I'm gonna predict that. Be it Tulane, be it USF, be it UConn, be it another team out west somewhere. I do not believe all their additions is going to come from the ACC. I could be wrong, but I think that's my. It's just a prediction, not a report.
Are you able to elaborate why you believe that, or are you not able to at this time?
No, because after what the SEC and the Big Ten does, again, a prediction, not a report. Once you go and look at the other ACC institutions that are available, I think the Big 12 would be interested in a couple of them. I think they would be interested in a Louisville. I think they would be interested in a Virginia Tech. I think they might be interested in a Pittsburgh. But beyond that, I think there are other options for the Big 12 that they've been working on for quite a long time.
Interesting.
I don't think the Big 12 is going to look. I really don't believe that the Big 12 is going to go 16 to 18. I think the Big 10 did that because they had that opportunity to get Washington and Oregon at 50 cents of the dollar. I think the Big 12's next move is a big scoop. They went from 12 to 6. They added 4 schools, right? I think they're going to add another 4. Just a prediction, though, right? Just a prediction. There's a lot of, all the dominoes would have to fall. We got to see where they fall until that. But for example, and I'll just put it out there, I think the Big 12 is more enamored with UConn than Syracuse. Just one example. And I think they would be more enamored with a South Florida than a Boston College or a Wake Forest. Just another example. Then they may not be able to get South Florida. I think the Big 12 would be enamored with an addition in a private institution in the state of Louisiana. I think they would be interested in a Tulane over a few of those ACC schools.
Interesting.
Yep. I think Brett Yormark's got some ideas. So,
do you think they would prefer Duke over UConn if Duke would be available? I know Duke is trying their damnedest to get into the SEC or Big Ten.
Yeah, I don't think Duke has any. I don't think you're going to see Duke in the Big 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had. Thank you so much.
I think Duke would be a school that would stay in the ACC, whatever form it is, instead of going to the Big 12. But that's another example of what my prediction is about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I appreciate you answering.
All right. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it, CFP Plus. Again, I just wanted to throw that out there, something to talk about, CFP Plus. I appreciate that call. We're just talking.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant, can you just hold on for one moment, please?
Sure.
We got our first super chat of the evening that wasn't an elbow thrown from that evil Buckeye mowing, Opie D. Dunn. OPD Don, the purple and gold. I do declare that you can only flex, threaten, and say so much for so long before no one takes you at your word anymore. So believe me, it's no threat anymore, brothers and sisters. I think OPD Don is talking about the SEC silo breakaway in some form or another. I could be wrong. I don't want to put words in OPD Don's mouth. I would never do that. I would never do that. I would love to do that. But I'm not going to do it. OPD Don, thank you so very much for your generosity, for your support to this channel. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it, sir, very much. Rock and Rant, the Miami Hurricane is on the line. The floor is yours.
Greg, I think I know what it feels like to be you when you're saying predictions and not reporting, because Wild Ute and I did this video on a what if the Big Ten and SEC did not expand. Yes. And then Ute put some screenshots from that online, and people just completely missed the entire context.
Yes.
So it's been fun to see what it's like to be sitting next to the villain that is
Rock
Wild
and
Ute.
Rant. You are not allowed to speculate. You are not allowed to put up, what if this happened, and what if that happened, what if this happened? You're only allowed to report, Rock and Rant. Don't you know that? Don't you know that, Rock and Rant? Now that I've scolded you, go ahead. The floor is back to you.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, that one video that was mentioned by Morris Simmons the other day, we just did this whole what if realignment thing if the Big Ten and SEC didn't expand. Not that we expected that to be the case, and it was only based on this model that he and I have been working on with AI for a few months. That scraped 5 years worth of data to try to figure out what each brand brings to a game before you know the network, the conference, and the opponent. Because then we can maybe use it to have some fun and predict things later on when the games come back on. So anyway, if anybody watches that was the context, that we didn't even talk about exit fees. But the one thing I just kind of wanted to bring up, all I still hear is Miami and Big Ten. The whole Yormark potentially becoming, Yormark's brother potentially becoming Miami AD had literally no connection at all to the Big 12 other than it being his brother. But I will say there has been, since that information, which might have been being worked on for months, quietly got leaked out by somebody with an agenda or trying to rally support, there's been an outcry that it's been pretty public, but in case people have missed it, almost as bad as when Alderaan got blown up by the Death Star, people not wanting Yormark based off of his time in Florida working for the Panthers for a decade. So I don't know that what might have been chalk and probably was chalk, and this is another world that you live in. Things are true, and they are true in that day, and then they're suddenly no longer true, and it doesn't mean you were wrong. I think it's very possible that doesn't come together. Another person that people are looking at, which has been reported, is this guy, Jim Frivola, who's a Miami grad, has been in the AD department, has worked for the Vegas Golden Knights, has worked for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and is now like the president of one of the Premier League teams. So we shall see. But regardless, even if it's Yormark, I don't think that, as you said, that means anything about Miami and Big 12 per se. So
no, I don't think so. No, I'm
not.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm not surprised you're hearing a lot, because I think there is a lot going on and has been probably for longer in terms of active conversations that Miami might be having once they were able to. I mean, there was definitely people present, and Miami did play Ohio State. There was a lot of people in the room at that place, as an example. When you have that, Miami played in Indiana, so Miami's been hanging around with the Big Ten a little bit.
There's been a lot of different waves of this. Like, BTM,
for sure.
He predicted a couple of years ago, Miami to the Big Ten in 2029, because there's too much, again, it was a prediction of his, not a, but it was based upon all the conversations that he's had, and we've had a lot of Big Ten people tell us certain things, that Miami is the fit and it would make other candidates work. They are a great institution to create a great blend with other possibilities. But this Saturday, it opened up a whole new vein of information. So most of the information that I got was interest from the Big Ten side. And then, of course, I would assume that Miami would have interest in joining the Big Ten because, why not, for example. But a lot of it came from the Big Ten point. This came from Miami's perspective. This information, what was shadowed behind the curtain was, no, Miami has been aggressive. We have finally learned that. There is a line of communication, and it's coming from a position of a different type of position. Oh, God. It's not from the traditional position, although Echeverria is involved in everything. So I'm not saying that he's not involved.
For sure.
I'm just...
No, I mean, he's about, as this has gone on long enough, for sure, that, right, we've gone from somebody completely different with, Julio Frank to Escovedo, who's, an animal. I mean, Julio Frank would never have been on Pat McAfee, right, as an example during the playoffs. And Joe is there at game day and watching him jump off the pool and giving him his suite. It's a very different dynamic. The guy loves sports as opposed to tolerates it. And he also happens to be, connected to more money than probably almost anyone in a position like that in many universities, just by the nature of his job at Deloitte and then what he did at UHealth. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. And then even big boosters like the Moss brothers, who own Inter Miami and brought Messi over, their company from when this whole started, when Miami was on the outside looking in many people's eyes, their billionaire value has gone up 65% with their company's stock price as well. So, I still would love to see Big Ten do something with Florida State and Miami personally. But.
Yeah, and that's Florida State's best shot in the Big Ten. But I will say this: I'm not. I can't really say much, but so the Echeverria thing is, of course, he's involved, and the Moss brothers probably really involved, but the communication part of it is, I think I can say the following, and I'm not going to say another word beyond it. It's not from a booster, obviously, or it's not from a booster, and it's something different than Echeverria, but it is from what you could label a bureaucrat, an administrator. Other than that, I'm not going to say anything. But so we sort of have, so for the first time, and maybe everyone else knew it in the world, but for the first time, we have information about a certain line of communication between Miami and the Big Ten. Same thing with North Carolina, with the SEC and the Big Ten. And we've known this about Duke. We've known this about Utah, which is an interesting one. But, yeah, I can't really go beyond that. So, yeah, we've learned something, Bison. We learned something on Saturday, and just learning something new is sort of an indicator. So our door is open to us, Rock and Rant. I like to say we are college football's peek around the corner, right? But doors open to us a lot of times late, right? I like the thing where I like to tell people we're out in front. That's the name of our show. But sometimes, because, I'm a nobody. I run the most unpopular college football YouTube channel in the country. And sometimes when we get really great information, it's a little bit, I don't want to say dated, but sometimes it comes to us late. But we put it out there and it seems early because no one else is talking about it, because a lot of people who have this information can't talk about it. So anyways, I'm just rambling on here. Rock and Rant, go ahead.
Well, you could be first and it could still be the 11th hour, right? Because everything's coming together.
Yeah. Well, I'm not.
You know,
Yeah. I'm not interested. I mean, sometimes I've been first. Sometimes I've been. It doesn't matter. I don't really. What I'm interested in is getting people the information as quick as I can get it out to them. But what I'm saying is sometimes a door is open to us, and it's something that is imminent, like that whole hot bubble of action. When I got that information on April 28th, and I knew there was a May 7th meeting between Colorado and the Big 12, I had to figure out a way to get it to everybody here without, stepping on the source and becoming the story. So I figured out this hot bubble of action story, right? Sometimes the information is something that's imminent. Sometimes the information is they open it. I'm fortunate to get a door open to us. I get all this information, but I'm being told, yeah, this has been going on for months. And it's like, holy smokes. This is what I think this Miami thing is. It's been going on. But I finally got found out like how it's going on. And I'm like, whoa, And then I asked.
The one thing I wonder about.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Greg.
No, go ahead.
I was going to, the one, and I'll get off so everyone else can get on. The one thing I do wonder about is we always think it's, next summer or this summer because of when the contracts are doing. I just wonder if either or the Big Ten or SEC, the two conferences with the most juice, might be trying to figure out a way to open their contracts sooner to get ahead of the NFL doing it to everybody the way that they're already doing it to CBS with the merger. Get in before too much money's gone and renegotiate and get extensions before you're trying to follow however the NFL is going to hijack Fox, NBC, and everybody after they do Paramount, CBS.
Well, we do know Ross Dellinger said in public, he used the word likely. Ross Dellinger reported, 2 weeks ago, guys and gals? 2 weeks ago that the SEC was likely be able to open up early negotiations with the SEC and ESPN. So Dellinger's already reported that. So
maybe the Big Ten tries to do the same thing.
Yeah, and Ross Dellinger made it a point. He put it in two different articles. He put something out there. Then when something happens, he likes to go back. If you notice, Ross Dellinger said, like I said 3 weeks ago, and then he posts the article. That's what he likes to do. So, yeah.
All right. Well, great show, Greg.
Right.
I'll let you go.
I appreciate it, sir. Rock and rant. Beautiful call. The Miami Hurricane. Rock and Rant has not yelled at me yet for picking his Miami Hurricanes. Hold on.
Tristan Fives.
Tristan Five, can you hold on for just a moment, please?
Yes, I can.
I appreciate your patience, sir. Rock and Rant has not yelled at me yet for picking Miami to come in first in the ACC in my way too early order of finish prediction. He has not scolded me yet. He also has not yelled at me yet for picking the Miami Hurricanes to go all the way back to the semifinals next year. And I was inches away from having them go to the finals. But the Texas Longhorns are stacked. Oregon is stacked. The Buckeyes are stacked. Miami is stacked. Holy smokes. But anyways, Rock and Rant has not scolded me yet. And I think it's because Rock and Rant knows that 2026 is the year of Greg the Gold. I don't think Rock and Rant is worried about me embarrassing myself once again for 5 straight years. I think Rock and Rant understands that I now am more wiser, more relaxed, and have a whole lot more wisdom going into 2026. And we've got ourselves a super chat from OBD Don. Hold on for a moment here, Tristan. We've got ourselves a super chat. In our second super chat of the evening, both coming from OPD Dunn, I do declare that when the first domino falls in the forest, that it want to be on fire, as all these damn planes are about out of fuel now, to higher prices now. Oh, that's, yes. Except the damn chopper and the one that is most likely Notre Dame or Kansas, Silo. Thank you, OPD Dunn. I appreciate the incredible generosity you have provided us tonight and for this channel over the last weeks, months, and years. OPD Dunn, Purple and Gold, you have been such a help. I do appreciate you helping us keep the lights on. I mean, I think all the planes are out of fuel, and possibly they're all going to crash. The SCORE Act is going to crash. The college football going to 24, even 16 crashes. And then the SEC gets out. They don't even go in an airplane. They go in a limousine and they do the silo breakaway and they travel to the silo in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. OPD Don, thank you so much for the $25 holler. Tristan, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg, thanks for taking my call. Hey, listen, I was really worried that Rock and Rant was going to steal my thunder here and talk about this topic, and he didn't. I was surprised. So the first thing I want to mention, though, is I happened to catch like the first 10 minutes of Paul Feinbaum today, and I can't remember the guest that he had on the show at the very beginning. I don't remember the person's name.
Yeah.
But that person was making the point that one of your callers made about 30 minutes ago, which was the SEC is facing the reality, like all the facts are in. They're facing the reality that they're in second place, right? They can't win in football anymore. They're not winning in basketball. Michigan just did it, and now the revenue gap is there, right? We're seeing a revenue gap with the Big Ten. And they're having to deal with the fact that they're in second place in the P2. And this reporter was saying it, and Paul didn't argue with him. Like, all the facts are right there. You can't argue with it, right? So I think that's an important detail. And I would add, and this is my opinion about what's going on behind the scenes. I think that the SEC is on the verge of just being fed up with ESPN.
Ooh.
I think they're on the verge. Greg, the whole reason that they've been willing to take a discount was so that because ESPN could deliver the schools into the SEC that they really want for their regional monopoly, for lack of a better word. And in my opinion, they dropped the ball. ESPN has not delivered. And if they don't deliver, man, I mean, that was the whole reason behind it, Greg. They let ESPN have this discount on their product, provided they could get the schools they wanted. And they started to deliver when they got the 2 Texas schools and they got Oklahoma. That was a big step in the right direction. That was one of the things that the SEC really wanted. And everything looked great at that point. And now it looks to me like the ESPN can't deliver when it comes to getting North Carolina.
What was that last part of North Carolina?
ESPN, whatever role they have in any of this, they're not helping the SEC when it comes to getting North Carolina. That was one of the big gets that the SEC was hoping. They would be happy to give ESPN a discount if it could get North Carolina. And Greg, I have a feeling it's not going to happen. I have a feeling it's not going to happen, and I think the SEC is going to be so incensed at ESPN.
Doesn't the state of North Carolina and ESPN have a very close relationship?
Well, you would think. I know that, believe it or not, there's a facility that the SEC has. It's like a broadcasting headquarters or something located in North Carolina. So I agree with what you're saying, like on the surface, it does appear that there should be. But I just don't see North Carolina going to the SEC, Greg, the more this drags out. I just don't see it happening. And I think that the SEC is in a situation, they're standing here, Greg, it's been a half decade since Texas and Oklahoma declared their intention to go to the SEC. Okay, it's been 5 years since that decision was announced. And where are they today? No one else has been added. They lost their edge in football. They lost their brief little edge that they had in basketball, and now they're second in revenue. And all of this, Greg, is happening while they're putting up monster regular season ratings.
Okay, let me defend the Southeastern Conference because I have been accused of being a Southeastern Conference homer. The Southeastern Conference is not really behind on revenue. They're a little bit behind on conference payouts, average $68 million and $76 million. But total revenue, not coming just from conference payouts, they're a little bit above the Big Ten. Number one. Number two, they have less sports to sponsor. Now, I think more sports is better. I think that's better, but the Southeastern Conference has less sports, so they have more money to throw at their revenue sports and the baseball, which is becoming very close to becoming a revenue sport for a couple of those programs. So that's number two. Number three, I think the Texas Longhorns, I want to be careful not to judge a university or a conference that doesn't win the national championship because there's only one champion per year. I think the Texas Longhorns is in a very good position and is better off and more healthier being in the SEC. And I think the Texas-Oklahoma inclusion has helped the SEC, even though the Big Ten has climbed above and won 3 national championships. There's other points, but I think the Southeastern Conference is just fine. I do not think they're poor, but I do think that the Big Ten has emerged in this new world, and I don't think the Southeastern Conference could have done anything about it. I think it was just going to happen, and it finally happened. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, well, I think that if they don't get the schools that they were hoping to get by partnering with ESPN, I mean, they're all in with ESPN. The SEC has been for some time. And if they don't land the schools that they were wanting, they're going to be done with ESPN. They're just like you guys. I'm putting myself in their shoes, and I'm saying to them, you guys need to make this happen. We've been waiting on it. We're in bed with you for this very reason, and if you don't make it happen, the next time our contract's up, Fox is a real candidate. There's going to be other players involved if you can't make this happen. And ESPN, they need to do it. And I think in my opinion, I think the SEC is fed up with ESPN.
Okay, I'm going to have to cut this phone call off. I appreciate the phone call, sir. Thank you, Tristan Fye. Appreciate it very much.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
You got it, buddy.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Sorry about that, Tristan, but I have to get off here. Very busy. I just want to say thank you to CFB Mafia. There's not enough money to justify big consolidation moves. Big Ten Max 2, including 3, including Notre Dame. SEC Max 4. That's a lot of movement. Notre Dame stays independent. Thank you for becoming a member, Nathan, and College Football Mafia for 28 months. I appreciate it. Christopher Hooter, it's total fiction that the SEC can't win. I do think the SEC can win, and I think they might win it this year. I think Texas and Georgia, and I think LSU is going to surprise a lot of people. Christopher Hooter, SEC's fine at 16 forever. It should have come to that. Thank you, Christopher Hooter. Thank you, College Football Mafia. Thank you, OPD Don and everybody for your donations, your phone calls. I do have to get off the line here. I appreciate all of you. We're going to be doing a live show tomorrow. This show is jam-packed. Oklahoma State Cowboys Spotlight Series. We talked about the ACC. A lot of things to talk about later in the week. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.